The possessive adjectives in Spanish are different from English. You have a singular, my. You have a plural, my. Singular, your. Plural, your. Singular, his, her, their, and plural. For example, if you are telling your supervisor, I like your factory, you will use su, which means your. I like your factory. But because you're talking to a supervisor or the owner of the factory, you have to use su. Now, if the owner has two factories and you want to say, I like your factories, you have to use sus. You make it plural because we're talking about two factories. When you're talking about your, and you're not talking to a supervisor or a stranger, you can use tu. Like, your kitchen is not my kitchen. We have the singular my and the singular tu. If this person was a stranger, we would use su. But let's say this person is a friend or a family member, we use tu. Our kitchen. If we're talking about our, we can use either nuestra. Okay? But if we want to say our business, we would say nuestro negocio. The word business is a male noun. That's why we use nuestro. And kitchen is a female noun. That's why we use the female form. If we're talking about two kitchens, our has to be in the plural form two. If we are talking about businesses, the word business in Spanish is a male noun, but if we're talking about businesses, we have to make it plural. Our has to be plural too. This is the neighbor's backyard. In Spanish, you cannot say their neighbor's backyard. You have to say the backyard of their neighbor. There is no apostrophe S in Spanish. So you have to use the possessive form their. How do you say their? Su. Again, there is no apostrophe S in Spanish, so you have to say the something of somebody. In this case, the backyard of their neighbor. And the word there is su. Again, if we were talking about two, we would have to use the plural form of the possessive. Your computer. If we're talking to a classmate, friend, family member, we use that. We use tu. If somebody has more than one computer, we say computers. So we have to make the possessive adjective also in the plural form. Now, Notice that every time I write the word your, I just write the T and the U or the T, U, and S. But if you put an accent on that word, you're not saying your, you're saying you. For example, if I want to say your computer and you, notice how the your doesn't have an accent mark. The you has to have an accent mark. So the accent mark changes the meaning of the word. With the accent mark, it means you. Without the accent mark, it means your. So you have to make sure you remember that because you need to keep in mind that the accent mark changes the meaning. Now, this is a different kind of word because the word close has an S, so you would think it's a plural, but it's not. Sometimes that happens in English and sometimes that happens in Spanish. There are some words that have an S but are plural, and one example is close. So even when you have an S, because in Spanish close it's a singular noun, the possessive adjective also has to be in the singular form.